All right, guys, welcome to Liquidity and Liquor short episodes. And today we're going to talk about crazy marketing tricks. And we're going to give the example of Airbnb and Craigslist. Are you familiar with that story?
So I know a little bit about the story. I know that they were using some automation on Craigslist, and this is basically to turn a side hustle of renting out extra sleeping space, I think at South by Southwest, if I'm not mistaken, in the early days, when they thought of a side hustle where a conference was overbooked and they were basically just renting out mattresses on their floor to people that were going to the conference. And that's, if I'm not mistaken,
so the marketing, the Airbnb marketing that they did. So Airbnb wasn't the only one, bed and breakfast online. They were not. But you couldn't tell the name of the other ones after they did this particular marketing trick.
Of course, yeah.
What they did was, so everywhere, if you wanted to rent anywhere at the time, it was all on Craigslist. But Craigslist is kind of like a sketchy website, not very good UI. So they came up with a nicer UI, but what they did was, and that was the first thing, it wasn't the only thing that took them to where they are today, but that was definitely where it took them off, kind of like gravity, right?
Yeah.
So what they did was the CEOs, the two co-founders, one of them was a coder, and what he did was he said, well, everyone technically goes on Craigslist. So whoever does come to our website, we're going to ask them a bunch of questions, let them submit their pictures of their place and all that. And at the end, they asked a question. They said, would you like to place this also on Craigslist? And there was yes or no. And about 98%.
It was on their website.
It was on their website. And 98% or so said yes. And they would click yes, and it would go geo-targeted, automatically put all the images, everything on Craigslist. And from Craigslist, anyone that would see it on Craigslist would have a link back to their website, which they sucked up all the traffic from Craigslist this way. Now, you said, okay, cool. I mean, what's so, yeah, I mean, like, I don't understand. Like, that's not new. Well, they were the only one doing it. You ask, but why? Why didn't the other one do it? Well, you needed an API integration. Okay, everyone can do it. A bunch of coders. No. Craigslist didn't release any API. What happened was the CEO was a coder. He was able to blueprint the code from Craigslist because it was available. The code was available, so he created his own API. And while he created his own API, they sucked up all the traffic from Craigslist for rental. So if someone would go, list, go back, and you would find it on Craigslist, you would get a bunch of buyers because Craigslist would give them all the renters that were looking for that because they had all the data, all the people that, all the critical mass for that. So everybody knew that, oh, you can actually get people on Craigslist, on Airbnb, it actually works. Before you know it, they just took all the traffic from there. No one ended up using Craigslist eventually. Craigslist did cancel, they changed their API, they changed the entire code so no one can do it again and all that, but that was already too late. By then, Craigslist is no longer the place to rent anything, it's all Airbnb. And obviously there were much more. I'm sure if the founders would sit here, they said, well, we also helped people taking better images than the competitors, all that, the flow and retaining them and all that. But that was the first tactic that created Airbnb into what they are today, where no one else was able to match them. They just sucked up all the traffic from there. And today, that's where they are, and where is Craigslist?
Okay, so from that, how would you take that and apply that same thinking to a new startup?
Okay, the concept is, how do I get people from one platform to another? How do you get people from one platform to another? What is the hack behind this? Facebook, and we'll give another one on Facebook with Badoo, what they did on Facebook at the time. We'll do another one about that. But it's the same exact concept in which you say one platform has a lot of, there's a critical mass of people. How can I suck them up? How can I bring them over in an unorthodox way? That is a growth hacking tactic, right? It's an unorthodox way to grow. If everyone is doing that already, that's just marketing. If no one else does that, that's growth hacking. So what am I missing and how can I do it? There is a group of people, they're all sitting over there. Can I bring them over?
So you find that community. So step one is like find that community that exists. And then step two is a way to lure those people in at scale.
This is a tactic that's obviously no longer available in a way. you might be able to scratch it a little bit and do something similar by going into certain places like Craigslist for different listing or OfferUp and send people, but you would not be able to do it the same way that they did.
Forget about what I'm
It was
thinking.
autonomous. It was just running like a machine.
It was a machine. But what I was thinking about is like for founders that are thinking about this, well, what if you scrape the followers of all of your competitors' Instagram or your competitors' Twitter, then run outbound email
Exactly.
campaigns?
It wouldn't be to the same effect, to the same
No,
level of what I
course,
did.
yeah.
And we're going to do the next one about Badoo on the next episode. And that's a little bit more actual because Badoo did this on Facebook. But my idea behind this is to tell you, open up your mind, because there is someone right now that does something similar that you're going to hear about this in the future, but they're doing this right now. So open up your mind and look for it. That's my idea. It might be on it might be Telegram, it might be
But
I don't know,
somewhere,
Discord, but there is some exactly.
Every single customer that you will ever need, take your business to any revenue, any milestone, they're all amalgamated, hanging out somewhere. So you have to find out where that is.
Exactly, correct. So a community is a group of people in the same space with the same interest activating together. If you can find communities, you can go and bring them on. You can communities in your space. Are you in those communities? Are you speaking to them? And how do you build growth hacking tactics? So this is just an introduction to open up your mind and say anything is possible. This is one thing that happened. We've done some growth hacking tactic in my company. I can talk about this later, but that was an iconic one that took a company to the moon. And there'll be more to come.
All right. Okay, that's it for today. If you enjoyed, please subscribe on YouTube. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can download and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts or on liquidityandliquor.com.